As often happens in my life when there's a special day coming up, my spirit guides and guardian angels, who are magnificent beings of light, will show up with a beautiful message. And so they came this morning, and they gave me a message to bring through today to begin this show. All that is one. Oneness of all life everywhere is an essential truth. Humanity is one with distant stars and swirling galaxies. Humanity is one. All peoples on earth are of one source, one heartbeat, one pulse beat within humanity, one heartbeat, one pulse beat deep within planet Earth, one heartbeat, one pulse beat within all that is. All is one. Each soul within each vessel has as its highest mission from life to life, helping others. Remember this. Highest truth. It is the purpose of every human's life to remember this wisdom and to bring this wisdom to others. The great cycles of celestial movement which rules time on earth are coming to their grand conclusion and new ones beginning. Stand in the light, live in the light, and love the light. Stand in the light, O humans. All are loved, all are beloved. This is the purpose for which you have come, to uplift one another, to raise the frequency of humanity. This is the highest calling. Whatever else you do with your time, you are here to bring heaven to earth, the mandate for our time. This wisdom teaching shall underlie all that is spoken in these conversations, which have been arranged by and presided over by angels, whose task it is to help whosoever shall choose to help others. Participants and loving watchers are blessed by the angels for their willingness to spend their time thus engaged. And by your devotion to bringing heaven to earth, we angels are blessed in turn. We are all one.
Thank you, Francine. I'm talking to Francine Vale today. That was her invocation to access these realms that you're a part of, that you're speaking from. So when you read something like that, or when you get a download of that, where does that come from for you? What's tuning into you?
It's so amazing. It's coming from beings of light, and they have shown themselves to me many times. The most dramatic is the first time that they show up, because I never expect it.
What was that, the first time?
The first time each being of light shows up is amazing. They manifest in my room right in front of me.
What do you see?
Their feet don't touch the floor. They're above the floor, and they are all light. So each one has its own particular character, and very recognizable and very unique. So within the oneness, we are unique souls. As we evolve in our light, and it's by our light that these high beings can recognize us and one another.
But let me just understand. So this morning, before you came here, how many beings appeared to you?
Well, in the morning, I don't jump out of bed.
Okay.
And this is what I try to teach people. Don't just throw off the covers and jump out of bed. Take a few minutes to let your dream time settle into your waking time, because we get important messages and information in our dream time. If we jump up and start our day, we lose it.
Right.
And that's the time that, for me, my spirit guides speak to me.
Okay.
And that's what I don't ask for it. And I never know. Some mornings they're not saying anything. I'm just remembering my
They
dreams.
speak to you and they say, hello, Francine.
No.
No, they don't.
No.
They speak to you.
Sometimes.
No, I would like that too every morning, to have like a little spirit wake-up call.
Well, you know, it's a really good question, because in the past, there were many times when I heard my name being called, and it was quite beautiful. I would just hear like crystal bells saying, Francine, Francine, and it was just beautiful. But what's happened is, over the years, they have blended their energies with me, and my energies have blended with them. And so I don't always know where I begin and end and where they begin and end. There's such a synergy.
Right. Well, you know, that's a good question. It's a question lots of people have. I also want to say I'm here in front of a live studio audience. Thank you all for watching, and thank you for tuning in today with healer and spiritual counselor Francine Vale and Alan Steinfeld for Newrealities. So the question is, though, are we merging with these beings? Or have they always been a part of us? But you say in the all is oneness, we're all aspects of the one. So where do you begin and they end, and when are they separate?
Well, in the beginning, I thought they were separate. Because, you know, they manifest in front of me, maybe 3 or 4 feet in front of me, and it seems in our world that's separate. But, you know, even since I finished my book, and the book was out in 2014, new teachings have come to me. And the way they teach is very much in the form of a spiral. You know, in a spiral, we keep learning, like we do in our life, the same lessons over and over. But each time we learn it, we're learning it on a higher level.
So your last relationship is a little better than your previous. It's like that.
Your newer friendships should be
your next marriage improvement of the
and
lesson.
We evolve also.
Yes.
So the way they teach, the way I've been taught, is in the beginning, when my spirit guide first revealed himself to me in 1991, he said, we are all one. My understanding of that was my children and I, you know, my parents, we were all one. And then my understanding of the oneness very quickly expanded until I finally understood with each teaching that the oneness is all that is. Right. Now, what I've been learning lately, which really makes sense, and it builds on everything that I've learned. So I hope when people hear this for the first time, if they haven't studied this or come across this before, they can understand that I have been brought there through this process over a period of many, many years. And so, because my first touch with the higher realms was 3 years old. So, I mean, it's a lot of years that I've been learning this way, talking to spirit. So what I've come to see now is that we're all one because it's all part of us. Like, I'm beginning to think that these spirit guides and light beings that speak to me are higher parts of me. And they live inside me. But for the purpose of being a human being on Earth, we have to feel differentiated. And so we have to have an ego. We have to be out there and acting as a human who's here, separated from everything. And a lot of people think there is no God because they feel separated from God, but actually we are God. God is in us. Everything is in us.
Right. Well, let me just address some of those points, or ask you about that, because I think there's a really good point to that. Our understanding of the oneness is evolutionary. It's like, oh yeah, we're oneness. And when you're just beginning, you think of that on one level. As we evolve, that understanding matures, and you get to, it's still oneness, but it's more complex, or is it more simple? I don't know.
It's both.
Okay.
It's, you know, the design of all that is at once quite simple and complex, both.
And it's hard for the human mind to understand. You sort of have to be in that state as a spirit guide. You also have to be a spirit guide to understand what that means. But as you merge with it, you become part of that oneness.
Yes. So I had, the way they teach me is so beautiful. So this is one example of how I've been taught. There was a blue oval light that was always on my right side. Okay. And when I turned my head, I couldn't see it. It was only in my peripheral vision. And then I had an experience where I was brought up to a higher place. And this happened after my book was published. It was one of the most unbelievable experiences of my life. So it's not in the book, so I'm sharing it here.
Thank you.
And I was up in a higher place where everything was white. And to make the story short, a being came from space and came through the opening in the room I was in and landed in front of me. And she was a cosmic being, and she was in like one of these vessels that's just one person at a time. And she reminded me of an ancient Egyptian in her diminutive body and the way she was. And she was wearing a silver spacesuit with just her face showing, no hair. And she looked at me, and what I could remember was the middle of the conversation, because what I could remember was she was very pleased that I said, I understand what you're telling me. And she told me a few things. And one of the things she said was, we're going to take you someplace. And as soon as she said that, I said, well, I will have to take a warm sweater, and I'll take my manuscript, and I'll take some photographs. And she said, where you're going, none of that will mean anything to you.
Just the bathing suit, she said. No. Okay. No, okay.
And she was very, very sweet and light, feminine, and very strong. Also, when she spoke, that was it. There was no question.
Where did you go?
And she then told me that I had to stop all the group work I was doing because the book had to get published and get out. And I did. And she gave me counseling, wise counseling like that. So after that experience, the blue light was no longer in my peripheral vision. I no longer saw that beautiful oval of blue light.
Did it disappear?
Which was sort of like the color behind me. Yeah. And so I felt, starting the very next day, that blue light had blended inside me, and that was her. That she had been like a guardian spirit, and then she came to me, and then that was a meeting. I was shown in like a physical way, the meeting between us, and then she was in my heart chakra.
Maybe she was really you, and for all of us, who we think we are, our personalities, that's not who we are. We are those beings.
Yes.
And when they appear to us, it's really ourselves appearing to the egoic personality.
So that was an amazing gift. Just think, I was seeing my cosmic self. I was looking into the face of my cosmic self. Because the very next morning, when I do things around the house or get dressed, I'm always thinking about spiritual things. And whatever question arose in my mind, the answer was instantly there. So I felt like she was inside me with this higher cosmic wisdom that she was providing for whatever question I needed. So, but at the same time, these higher parts of us allow us to be human. So we make our human mistakes that we see as mistakes, but they're really just lessons for us to live our lives, because, we have to have these kinds of different experiences that take us off a little bit so we can get back on.
Do we have to have those?
We do, because this is third dimension. This is third dimension. So every once in a while, we trip ourselves up, or we make a decision that we wish we hadn't made.
But wait, aren't we graduating from the third dimension? I mean, aren't we evolving? So
we are.
I think we are coming to a place where we will merge with these.
And we have made tremendous progress in the past couple of years, because I find myself, I don't make mistakes like I used to. I'm more just in that flow of not making, not that I made so many mistakes, I made enough.
I think you're right. We don't have to call them mistakes. We can call them lessons, but we've been around so many lifetimes, and we've had so many of these dramas, these human dramas. I think we're coming to the end of that cycle.
We are definitely coming. We are at the end. We are actually at a turning point. And that's why this moment is so vital for people to understand these big wisdom teachings that are actually inside everybody's cellular structure. So when you hear it, it should resonate with you. And I think a lot of people, when they hear these things, little lights go on like, oh, that's right. You know, it feels like, why didn't I know that before?
So how do we start to merge with these divine aspects of ourselves? I mean, become
Oh, it's not hard. We just set our intentions. You set your intentions and you say, I want to be the best that I can be.
Okay.
And then you say, well, after you experience that for a while, you know, the feeling of being the best that you can be and letting go of the other stuff that you allowed yourself to get tripped up by.
And bothered and triggered.
Right.
And, yeah.
And you recognize when somebody is starting to bother you that it's them, not you. And you see that you're ready for the next
I always
step.
thought it was that.
Yeah. I always thought it was me.
It's
Yeah.
always them, not me. You know, no,
No, I always figure something's wrong with me.
Well, that's
now
true,
I'm
too.
finally recognizing, no, it's just that's somebody else's problems. And I want to help them with it, but it's not my...
But is there something we should do, like a meditation, to call in this merging of the divine self?
All we have to do, we don't have to make a very big deal out of it. That's the biggest thing that I like
That's
to teach.
the biggest deal. Yeah.
That's my biggest teaching to everybody, is it's not necessary to turn it into a huge thing. All we have to do is make a declaration. My dear spirit guides, my dear angels, my guardian angels, I wish to set my conscious intention to grow closer to you. I want to be closer to you. I want to feel you with me. Let me know when you are with me. Give me a sign so I will know. Give me a sign that I will recognize.
So we declare to our guardian,
Make
okay,
the declaration.
give me a sign. That
Show me in my life.
And if I say that to myself, I will get something that will, whatever, it might be a word, might be...
Here's the thing, though. It can't be lip service. It has to be heartfelt.
Okay, I'm
Because when they know when we're doing something from our heart and when we're just giving lip service.
Well, why do we even want to call on them?
We need them.
To help us guide.
We need them, and they need us because that's their task. So they're waiting. They're waiting for us to call on them because they want to be useful and help us in the best way they can.
So if we sincerely drop into our heart and say, please, guardian, show me a sign that you're here and helping,
Yes.
something will appear.
Exactly.
Actually, I just got a sign from the control room. Maybe that's my guardian angel. But, you know, we're here with the studio audience, so I just want to know, is there a question that anyone had from anything you've heard here today?
Always heard that they can't help you unless you actually ask for it. Is that really true, that you need to ask for guidance, otherwise they're not able to provide that?
Yes, and here that's true. But the thing that we forget is we don't always have to say the words because they will know when we're asking, even if we're not saying the words. Some people don't know to ask, but it's in them that they want it. So if someone is having a crisis, they will generally call out, and that's why we have crises, to create that connection. And a lot of times our guardian angels will come in and save us when we didn't even have a chance to ask, because they know that we want to live. They know that we have that life, that other people, their time has come. So it's you know, some of it is I can't answer all of that, but I know that we do have to ask. And sometimes our own heart is asking before we even say the words. But I don't know why people die and some people are saved by angels. Why those choices are made, I really don't know, except to say that perhaps we have a destiny and that's a person's destiny. I don't know.
Well, we don't know what's beyond this realm.
No.
And we're just like walking in a fog here. We don't know what all these other realms are about and how we fit in. But the more we're in touch, I think, with those other parts of ourselves or beings, the more of a bigger picture we get on reality. That's why I call my program Newrealities, and that's why I like to have people like Francine Vale here. Does anyone else have a question? Back behind you.
Thank you, Francine, for being here. What do you think gets in our way?
What gets in our way is our ego.
Can you tell us more about that?
The ego is what we mistake for our true self when it's not our true self. Our true self is our soul. So that's another reason for getting close to our guardian angels, because the soul is what we are here to express. And the ego will do everything it can to prevent us from expressing our soul, and instead to get tripped up with material things of the material universe, which are helpful, and we're here to experience them, but not to take over our soul. So I can enjoy wearing a pretty sweater, but that's not what it's about. It's about what is coming out of me into the world, the expression that I bring out into the world to express my soul knowledge, my love for humanity, my desire to help. That's what's important. If I made this more important than that, I would still be home. So, that's what tricks us up, is the ego. Definitely.
And Francine, how do we know we're in our ego and not our true self?
That's a really good question, because sometimes there's a lot of spiritual ego out there. Look
Yes,
at me,
that's
look how
true.
spiritual I am,
Right,
and then it's like,
right.
how do you know if you're in your spiritual ego, which is still ego, or the divine self? That's a good
Well,
question.
it's probably true if you think that you are being your true self and you're having a lot of drama in your life, you're probably getting into your ego more than you need to be. Or if you have desires that never come true, things that you really, really want, like you think you really must. If I had this car, I would be so happy. That's an example of your ego getting
Material
in the way.
things, in a way.
Yes.
But if she has desires, though, that, a perfect
we can-
relationship or
Suppose
not
I
that
suppose I decide I want to be the president, but I can't. It's not in my destiny. So that's my ego thinking I'm so great that I can be the president, but it's not really who I am. That's not the true expression of myself.
But what if you have a desire that seems reachable, but, it takes a while to
There's
get?
a voice inside us. I think we all have an inner voice, no matter how big our ego is, that tells us that we're thinking something that we shouldn't be thinking. We should shift our thoughts a little bit. We all have that inner voice. It's part of us. And that's what we have to listen to, is that small, quiet voice inside us, like Jiminy Cricket on our shoulder, who speaks to us all the time, but we often push it away. Pushing it away is the ego. The ego doesn't want to hear that small voice. The ego wants, to do what it wants to do, and maybe in pursuit of things that is not serving the soul. So listen to that small voice. And the only way we can hear that small voice is to be quiet, to take the wires out of our ears and be quiet, give ourselves downtime, be in nature, walk in the park, be alone. Be alone for a while and just listen to that quiet voice, and even call on it and say, those are your spirit guides speaking to you. That's what it comes back to.
Does that make sense? Okay, we should. Oh, you go. One quick question. We're just almost out of time, but go ahead.
Does everybody have a guardian angel?
Everyone.
And how does it work, this guardian angel, when you're in trouble? Do you wait till you're really in trouble to ask them? Because, I'm sure people...
Okay, so some people, before we're born, some souls will say, I want to do this myself. I don't want any spirit guides coming in. I want to do this myself. At a certain point in their life, they realize they made a mistake. And so they call on their guardian angel. Most of us know that we have a guardian angel before we're born. And I'll tell you who the guardian angel is.
Who?
The guardian angel is us from the future. And our guardian angel is always with us. From the moment from before we're born, and the moment that we're born, the guardian angel is there, and it's with us all the way through. Because it's us from the future, and its purpose is to guide us, to make sure that we fulfill our destiny.
That's a good point. So it's always good to converse with the divine parts of us. It's basically divine,
Yes.
forever part of ourselves.
Yes.
Thank you for your questions. We're going to wrap up.
Now, Do I have another?
Yes, just a little.
So how do I know that? Because I had an experience. I go back and forth in time and dimensions. So I had an experience where I was standing in a white gown and an old-fashioned car pulls up and my 4-year-old self gets out and looks up at me. I'm in two places at once and I recognize my 4-year-old self. My 4-year-old self recognizes me. And the conversation is continual. It's not like, who are you? It was like looking up at me and saying, nobody loves me.
And so what did you do to the 4-year-old?
And so as a guardian angel, I said, but I love you and I will always love you. And look at your beautiful smile and look at your sturdy legs and you have everything you need to bring you through your life and do whatever you want. So I was there comforting my 4-year-old self, but my human self had not remembered that. I remembered my guardian angel when I was 3. So that showed me that my guardian angel was with me. There are many times that you don't remember, you know? And so, but we had an ongoing relationship that I didn't talk about, didn't even write about in compositions in school. It was just there, just there. Your guardian angel is you from the future and always standing right behind you. And sometimes they're saying, no, don't do that. And you go ahead and do it anyway. Somebody will come along and say, oh, don't worry about that. You'll be okay, you know, and then you do it and it turns out to be a disaster. So we need to listen. That small voice, thank you so much for the question, because that's our guardian angel.
Thank you, Francine. Thank you for being a guest. You know what I noticed about you? Something's happened for you because there's so much more energy coming through you. There's so much more directness and power in your words. I think something's rubbed off with those guardian angels.
That's because I've gotten younger.
Yes. Well, I want to say I've been talking to Francine Vale, visionary, mystic, author. She's wrote a book called The Song in the Heart, which I recommend on Amazon. And we'll do more shows. Thank you, Francine. Your website again?
Thank you. FrancineVale.com.
Very powerful. Thank you for watching.
Thank you. I wish we had more time.
We're going to do more.
Good.
Okay. We'll keep people wanting more. I'm Alan Steinfeld for Newrealities. If you want to reach me, go to my website, newrealities.com. See you next time.